We start doing things that we said we would never do. I'll never stick a needle in my arm. I'll never sell my body for drugs. I'll never drive my kids around drunk. But we're going to go through this book called Staying Sober. This is our 4th episode on this book. We're going to talk about addictive disease progression, the 3 stages. There's early stage, middle stage, and a chronic stage. This addiction snuck up on us, y'all. Addictive disease progression, right? You got the early stage, which is growing tolerance and dependency. You got the middle stage, which is progressive loss of control. Progressive loss of control. It doesn't get better. It's not like, I lost some control, now I'm gaining it back. I'm okay. I'm still using drugs. No, it just progressively gets worse and worse and worse. If you've experienced that, hit that like button and drop a comment. That's me, because that was me. And then you got the chronic stage, right? Deterioration, bio, body, psycho, your mind, and then social, right? The chronic stage is deterioration of your body, your mind, and your relationships. Biopsychosocial health, right? It is difficult for these people to recognize that they are addicted. Why? Because they can handle their liquor. You heard that? I can handle my liquor. Or marijuana, or Valium, whatever.
Whatever it may be.
The earliest warning sign then actually thwarts early diagnosis because it conceals the problem. You see that? My tolerance is increasing. I have pride in this, which is an early warning sign that is thwarting early diagnosis because it's been concealed, right? Because we're proud of it. While most diseases create immediate impairments in function, this disease appears in the early stages as a benefit, enabling the affected person to enjoy the euphoria of drugs use without paying any of the penalties. So when we first start dabbling in drugs, whoa, that feels good. You know, remember when we first smoked weed, it was just like 1 or 2 hits, and then all of a sudden we're taking rips off the bong, you know, and smashing the freaking gravity bongs. Or we started off drinking, 3 or 4 beers, and then all of a sudden we're putting away a 6-pack and a pint, and we're like, yeah, I can hold my liquor. Look how good I am. It's an increase in tolerance. That's actually a warning sign. That's a warning sign. So you could tell that to other people who may be wondering, and you'd be like, hey, that's a warning sign. What you're going through right now, your pride in your tolerance is a warning sign that you have a problem, and it's not going to get better if you continue down this path. Hard to make people see. I didn't listen, obviously. Felonies, meth, alcohol, detox, IOPs, all in my past to prove it. The middle stage of addiction then is marked by a progressive loss of control as a person is no longer able to use the same quantities without becoming intoxicated or creating problems. Not using begins to create pain. The drug is used to relieve the pain created by not using. The addicted person is unable to function normally without the drug. Family and friends begin to notice problems with the person's job, health, marriage, and legal matters. They are apt to believe, however, that the person is just behaving irresponsibly. They are not aware that the addicted person is not choosing the problem behavior. It is part of the disease. The person cannot, through willpower, choose to drink or use responsibly. The only alternative to continued problems and progression of the disease process is treatment and total abstinence. At this point, when you're losing control, it's that allergy takes over that the doctor's opinion talks about. One's too many, 1,000's a never know. As soon as you start using, you have to bang big, right? So when we start getting into this progressive loss of control, family and friends are seeing it. The only thing that's going to save us at this point is treatment and total abstinence. Right then. If you catch anybody that wants to quit at that point, try to get through their head, you cannot use again. I remember we were in group one time at SOAR. Somebody was telling their story, and it'd been a few relapses in, and he looked at this person and he said, you can never use that substance again. Do you realize this? And that's the point we have to get to, is understanding we can never use this substance again. Because if we do, we revert right back to the bad stuff, bad things, bad ways, bad habits, bad mindsets, ruined relationships. And guess what? You always sober up at some point. So you're always chasing the high. The shit always runs out. And you wake up to reality and have to get high again. It's not like, okay, this time's going to be better. No, it only freaking gets worse. Now that third stage, the chronic stage of addiction, is marked by deterioration. Okay, now we've already, our tolerance is up. We're ruining friendships around us. But now these things are starting to deteriorate. Physical body, teeth maybe, right? Psychological, your mind and your brain, right? Rewiring your brain for bad stuff. Behavioral, social, and spiritual. All body systems can be affected at this stage. The brain, liver, heart, the digestive system are often damaged. Mood swings are common as the person uses the drug to feel better, but is unable to maintain good feelings. I remember that. My first couple of swigs off the bottle was the release of that dopamine, but after doing it for so long and every single night, you don't have that much dopamine built back up, no healthy amounts. Because that's why that first high always feels the best. You have the most, your dopamine tank is full and you release it all, right? And then all of a sudden now you're just tapping, just like it's dripping barely anything out. And so you're trying to maintain that good mood that you used to get when you were high, and you can't maintain that anymore. And that's why all of a sudden you're drunk. Your first couple of drinks, you're happy and get lucky, and then all of a sudden you're either pissed off or you're having mood swings. You go from pissed off to petty and sad, or you know how it is. As life becomes more and more drug-centered, what was the center of your life? Drugs. There is less and less control over behavior. We start doing things that we said we would never do. I'll never stick a needle in my arm. I'll never sell my body for drugs. I'll never drive my kids around drunk, right? I'll never do this. I'll never do that. The list goes on. And we end up doing that. Getting ready to use, using, and recovering from using become the life activities of addicted people. You hear that? We've experienced it. Getting ready to use, using, and recovering from using become the life activities of addicted person. What are you going to do today? I'm getting ready to use. What are you going to do after that? I'm using. What are you going to do after that? I'm going to recover from it and go get more so I can start that cycle again. That's it in a nutshell. They do things while drinking they would not do sober. While sober, they structure their lives to protect their using. They break promises, forget commitments, lie, all to be able to use. Isolation is common. Friends and acquaintances separate themselves because behavior becomes embarrassing and often offensive. Life is consumed by the need to use. Drug-seeking behavior becomes a lifestyle.
That's crazy. Shout out to Laura Hiller.
Laura, nice to meet you.
72021. Finally figured this live chat thing out. I'm super excited to stay joined now.
Awesome. Glad you're here.
Yeah, glad you figured it out.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. As we will be back Sunday picking up where we left off. Until then, do not put yourself in a high-risk situation. Stay strong, work your program, and remember, we recover better together.